Yes. Now let us talk about what the interview structure looks like. Okay. In an interview, generally this happens. Understand, I am not giving you a rule that this will happen with every interview. I am just giving you what happens very commonly. Okay. So either you have to apply to a job, or sometimes the HR or the hiring manager is going to reach out to you on LinkedIn or on email. The second thing is getting rarer these days, so you have to be proactive in order to apply. But in 2020, 2022, it was very, very common. The second part is there will be an HR screening round where they will understand that whether your profile is, let's say, fit at the introduction level or not. Okay. After that, sometimes if it's a junior role, they might give you take home assignment. Generally, we have found this in the junior role, but these days, because of so much, let's say, population applying for product manager roles, we have also seen this in the senior roles as well. So you might or might not get a take home assignment. Then, generally, the first round occurs, and in the first initial rounds, people generally have a combination of product sense and other combination of questions that I'm going to tell you in just a moment. After that, they also check for technical acumen, whether you can work better with the engineers, whether you have that mind to understand and curiosity to understand technology or not. And then eventually, behavioral, there are going to be some behavioral questions where they will understand your personality, how good of a stakeholder manager you are. And then eventually, you are going to do some negotiation, and eventually, you are going to get an offer. Okay, this is the general idea, general flow that is followed across the interviews. Okay, some interviews might be here and there, but most of the time, this is what is being followed. Now, tell me yes or no in the chat if you are able to understand. Tell me yes or no in the chat if you are able to understand this image. Can anyone tell me in the chat what is happening in this image? Come on, folks, take a couple of minutes and tell me what is happening in this image. Yes. So we have seen this multiple times. Okay. Let's say someone calls, they want to become a product manager. And when we ask them, why do you want to become a product manager? And generally, they give an answer from their perspective that I am very passionate about it. And that's why you should go ahead and give me an opportunity. But understand, guys, these words matter almost nothing to a company, at least for most of the company. What people are looking for is how you are the right fit for the role. For this particular role, we need these many skills from a candidate. Now, can you tell me whether you have these skills or not? Or how can I validate if you have these skills? Okay, so passion means almost nothing unless you have something to show for it. Okay, now that is why interviews were invented, to make sure that people don't have to convince you with the passion. You are able to formulate some kind of question that will help people assess their skills, and then you are able to understand whether I should go ahead and hire this particular person or not. Okay, and in product management, in order to understand these skills, we have multiple kind of questions. Okay, in product management, in order to assess all these skills that I've told you, there are multiple kind of questions that are asked. Most popular question is product sense question, and sometimes product sense question is also a combination of all of these as well. They will ask you in such a way that one question is going to contain each and everything as a part of itself. The second kind of questions are metric questions. In metric questions, you can also go ahead and in metrics question you can also go ahead and involve guesstimates. Then root cause analysis, strategy questions, behavioral questions, and technical questions. Product sense questions, an example is how would you go ahead and improve Google Maps? How would you create a refrigerator for blind people? These are questions that I'm sure that multiple of you might have heard, which is an example of product sense questions. The second is metrics. Because whenever you are launching the product, you need to make sure that you know how to gauge the progress or deprogress of this particular product so that you can be objective. You can be data oriented. You could be data driven. That is why metrics are essential. Sometimes people can also ask you the question that if this metric is down, then what could be the reason that it is down? Or maybe they can give you a particular situation and they will ask you to understand the root cause of that particular situation. Okay. Similarly, there are strategy questions. Strategy questions are generally asked at the seniority level, where they are going to ask you the questions as in how will you go ahead and whether Google should enter into this particular, how would you assess if Google should enter into this particular territory or this company should acquire that company? Okay. Or how should a particular company be able to get profitable as soon as possible? And then we have behavioral questions, which are mostly around your personality and your work ethics and your style, which is tell me about yourself. What is the situation that you have faced when you tell me a challenging situation that you have faced? Okay. And then there are technical questions. Technical questions, no matter you are a technical person or non-technical person, in product management, you need to have some basic understanding of tech that is being assessed in the technical interview rounds. Okay. People tell me in the chat if you have faced these questions, which is the most common question that you have faced in your interviews. People, I'm sure there are some people who have given some interviews. Tell me in the chat what are the most common questions that you have faced in the interviews. Metrics, product sense. What's your favorite product? RCA, strategy, product sense, behavioral, product sense, strategy. Yes, good. Now, I will go through these questions one by one. I will tell you the example of these questions. I will tell you why these questions are asked. And then I'll also give you a structure and maybe an example of how you can go ahead and answer these questions. Okay, understand, guys? I am giving you one of the examples. I'm not telling you that this is the only way to answer these questions. You have to, in the end, forget about frameworks and do the solving on your first principle level skills. But I am going to suggest you some frameworks. Okay, so let us go ahead. Yes. So, yes, before that, this is the most important slide. Okay, listen to this carefully, guys. No matter what kind of interview that you are giving in product management, apart from the skills that I've already told you, these are the four things that you are being assessed for. Okay, so the fundamental interview skills are these four. The number one is thinking on the feet. No matter how much you practice, the purpose of the interviewer is to make sure that they are able to understand how much are you able to think on the feet. So rather than telling you that what is your favorite product and how would you improve it, they can also tell you that tell me the five favorite product, and then they can choose one product and then they will tell you to go ahead and improve that product. Okay. So their purpose is to challenge you because they are thinking, because they want to understand whether you can think on the feet or not. Okay. So no matter how much questions and database that you fit in your mind, you should always be ready for thinking on your feet. You have to develop your mental muscle rather than your memory. Okay. So you have to develop your mental muscle and not your memory. Memory can help you sometimes, but strong mental muscle will always help you. Okay, because the purpose of a PM is to convert the vague situation into a clear situation. Okay, after this, we have awareness of PDLC. PDLC means product development lifecycle. Okay, although I have tried to give you a 101 on product management, but it was very high level. Unless you are very sure that you do not know product management, I would ask you to prepare better in the interview. Okay, so if you're not aware about how the product management happens, please go ahead and build that knowledge. Before building that knowledge, you are just wasting an interview opportunity. Okay, after that, pattern recognition. Now you have to also understand patterns. I'll give you a list of 2000 plus questions in product management which are asked in top companies in product management interviews. But you cannot learn about each and every question. You need to understand how to recognize the patterns how to categorize all of these things into different buckets, and then create your level of, let's say, frameworks or structures for answering these questions. Okay. And the last part is communication. Last and the most important part. Understand, guys, that in tech, in design, in marketing, in operations, it is possible that if your communication skills are not so good, still you can operate because hard skills matters the most. But in product management, because you are the glue between multiple teams, you are the major stakeholder manager of the company and the product, you need to have good communication skills. Okay, the good part is we are not only talking about about oral communication skills. If your written communication skills are very good, then also you can operate. And also understand communication is not something that anyone is born with. Okay, I can give you some content. If you apply that content, if you apply that learning for around 2-3 months, I am sure your communication skills are going to be at the different level altogether. Okay, you just be willing to learn. Okay, so four things, four fundamental interview skills: thinking on the feet, awareness of PDLC, pattern recognition, and communication. So, folks, it might happen that I am telling you something, and the interviewer might ask you something out of the world or out of the context that I'm telling you. And still, you should be able to answer it. Why? Because your understanding of product management is very solid. You are able to think on feet. You can do the pattern recognition, and then you can communicate really, really well. Okay, so the four skills that you need in order to these are the four skills that you need in order to crack the PM interviews. Okay. Thinking on the feet generally means that you should be able to go ahead. Yes. Thinking on the feet means that you should be able to go ahead and think about the situation at any given point of time. Even if the data is not given to you, even if the context is not given to you, how do you go ahead and do this?